Another horrific case in the health system.
Our hospital system now not only can't keep people alive very well, it can't keep them dead. This is the plot of a horror movie. You're pronounced deceased and you wake up in a body bag in the morgue because it turns out you weren't dead. You were dead-ish. I want to throw up just thinking about it.
Amber Jade must be wondering why she put her hand up to be health minister.
If even half of what's been reported is true, she's going to have to sack an awful lot of people. Here's what we know so far. A 55-year-old is undergoing palliative care at Rockingham Hospital last month when one day nurses arrived at the conclusion that he was dead. His body's taken to the morgue that evening, and the next day, when a doctor opens the body bag, he sees fresh blood and notices the man's limbs had moved and his eyes were open.
Which suggests
he was alive when they put him in the bag, which on the scale of hospital f***ups is getting up there. The only reason we know anything about this is because the funeral director knew the family was at this guy's bedside when the nurses pronounced him dead. The funeral director also knew that was on Monday, September 5, so when he saw Tuesday, September 6 on the death certificate, he asked some questions. The hospital realised that this f***up was indeed up there because apparently they asked the doctor to backdate the time of death. He refused, and now the shit is well and truly out of the horse and spread onto a sandwich which Amber Jade is reluctantly eating.
Poor family.
It is stomach-churning stuff in isolation, but think about this. What's the chance of this being a one-off, never-happened-before incident? How many times has a nurse failed to detect a pulse, or a doctor hasn't noticed fresh blood in a body bag? A couple of 100 years ago, they used to put bells on coffins, so if you woke up inside, you could tug a string and raise the alarm. Maybe we should start doing that again.
God, what an awful thought.
The opposition is calling for a royal commission into the health system, which seems to be a very expensive way to confirm what we all know, that there aren't enough doctors and nurses.
Probably not enough cops either.
And the ones we do have are very busy trying to make sense of a gangland war that doesn't seem to make any sense.
It's a game, dear man, a shadowy game.
The rebels' nom, accused of killing Joe Versace, has an impromptu outburst in court saying the shooting had nothing to do with the rebels.
Interesting assessment.
Yet senior rebel Joseph Raimondi was one of the first at the scene and was consoling Versace's family.
What a coincidence.
The rebels' sergeant-at-arms, Josh Finch, is sprung allegedly disposing firearms which the cops are hinting may have been used in the shooting. And a rebels' clubhouse is one of the first places raided by the cops investigating Versace's death. This information comes out a day before Raimondi is identified as a friend of a man who was allegedly bashed by this guy. That's Mongols Bikie Clovis Chikonga, aka Clovis Chikana, aka Clavis Chikonga, aka Clovis Chikonga, aka Marcus Sanders.
Well, you've met him. What's he like?
He's exactly what you'd think a very large, very menacing bikie would be like. He's very large and very menacing. Not so much with the smiling for Clovis.
Well, now we have a firm grasp of the obvious.
Chikonga stands accused of using a baseball bat to belt a bloke he was allegedly extorting for 200 grand. His lawyer says the victim is tight with Joe Raimondi, which is curious because Raimondi is, I assume, tight with fellow rebel kingpin Carl driving Miss Daisy LeBrook, because rebels forever, forever rebels. And LeBrook is tight with Mongol kingpin Troy McCanty, who is good mates with fellow Mongol Clovis, because Mongols forever, forever Mongols. Actually, it's not forever because they were Finks before they were Mongols.
So their motto must be Finks for now.
For now, Finks.
So he's really poking the bear.
Bikies are a fickle bunch. Never quite what it seems in the underworld. If you need further proof of that, just look at the case of Bunbury's powerlifter Brad Humble, the man accused of impersonating a cop as part of a $25,000 shakedown. Before he was allegedly taking on contracts to cut off people's hands and tongues, he was a very well-regarded member of the community who was lauded in state parliament for his amazing support and leadership of 21 youngsters involved with the Bunno PCYC. And he was a real police officer.
And you said he didn't look like a cop.
I look like a detective from the firearms squad.
You think?
This dude does not. That's a gang you'll never get back into. I'm Ben Harvey. For more Up Late, click the subscribe button below.